It's interesting. I didn't know KC before. I only know him now. But I guess the real simple thing I would say about KC is he embodies what we're doing. It's the mystery of the redemption. He
Mhm.
had a tough road. He went through a lot of different things, and he's turning it around, and he's focusing in a different direction. And it's amazing what God can do. He has some very serious medical issues. He wasn't given much time to live either. Yeah, he has major pancreatic issues. I don't know exactly what they are, but he's only given a certain amount of time as well. He's already beat that. When we had first been introduced while doing this project, he had asked me some questions about, because I talked about my near-death experience and the fact that I beat all the odds with my own situation, which was heart failure, cardiomyopathy, and then had an unexpected kind of a healing. Well, I guess it's not kind of, it was a healing. You just never know what God has in mind. So just roll with it. One of the neat things, his mother is a really interesting woman. He featured her as one of the people in his first book, Simply Amazing. And she's been doing something, I think she's a teacher, I'm not sure. But she has been doing something overseas forever as a missionary. And I think she teaches. But she has been a huge inspiration to him. He's seen her just solid as a rock, this pillar of kindness and giving. And so he went through a lot of things himself. And like I said, I didn't know him then, but something happened. He kind of got hit with the health things, and he decided he didn't want to leave the world without putting something good in it, And sometimes, this is how God redeems us. He allows us to go through really difficult things and bring ourselves back from stuff. In the holy teaching of Vimalakirti, which is a Buddhist text, one of the things Vimalakirti talks about is that we must see and experience and learn from our own mistakes. But then what makes a great human being is someone who can take those mistakes, turn it into a redemptive kind of moment for others and for humankind. And I think that's what KC is doing with his books and with his radio station. And he's taken a lot of criticism, and I think whoever wants to criticize it, they can. I wouldn't listen to it. I don't. You watch God in action in people, and when somebody is trying to do something of value in the world, you step back and you make room and let them. A KC is a perfect example of someone who made his suffering redemptive, not only for himself, but he is now in the active process of trying to make his experience redemptive for others. And so this is, and boy, am I getting slammed with energy here, the Holy Spirit thing coming in, which is that we all have that moment where we realize, and, we see this in many ways. We don't see it just in ways where someone does it and it's visible on a public level. We see this with people who have been homeless, who then decide that when they get back on their feet, that they're always going to be working or helping with homeless shelters or homeless programs. We see people that do this in unseen ways as well. This is the redemptive path. This is the redemptive way. Then we have people where they literally get lost in Maya, and literally they do get swallowed by it. And so it becomes their destruction because they don't hear that still small voice somewhere along the way and hearken to it, where that gives them the opportunity to change that direction. And we talked last time, I want to go ahead and just re-emphasize, for someone who may be swimming in a sea of Maya, And, Maya, for someone who may not be familiar with the term, illusion, delusion, or just if you're in confusion, all you have to do to start the change is you turn inward and you allow God in. And so you're making a decision to let God come in and do something different, and then you become pliable to that, so you allow God to move within you. So yes, there are people who will take things like that and they will grab one of these moments where the Holy Spirit is coming from above, reaching down, and they're like grabbing it. And I see, and I think we all see many times, many different stories of people who make it redemptive in many different ways. And it's important to understand that that is not necessarily something that is, seen by all, because these are things also that you see in the choices that people make on a day-to-day basis. People make it redemptive in all sorts of ways in their daily lives. But then you also have those who are listening and then they're trying to grab a hold of one of those moments. And eventually, maybe they do. And maybe they don't have the strength to do something that's going to be giving back. They may be, all they have is the strength to turn their own path. And that's okay. If that's what they've got, that's enough. But there's always going to be those who truly, and usually it doesn't always, you have people where they're trying to figure it out, and it just turns out that it's too late, too much too late, too little too late. There's also the fact that there are people who never think the consequences are going to hit them. So it does. At some point, it's just over. And it's never too late in the sense that you can always turn back to God. You may not be able to, at the age of 95, turn back and recreate a destiny that might have been there for you at the age of 25. But you still can recreate another path, another inroad back to God. That's available to us. What we're talking about, though, sometimes is that people sometimes do die in the middle of being out upon the sea of illusions. And that's part of, it's a bigger question where we go through the reincarnation story that makes it much more complex.